How does a Delhi girl from a conservative Muslim family, whose family runs one of my favorite restaurant chains in Delhi, not too far from where we're sitting right now, Saleem's, end up in the film industry?
I don't know, it's just meant to be. I think I was just one of those classically confused kids who wanted to do something. And I think my first act of rebellion was when I walked into my principal's office.
In college or school?
In school, in 11th standard.
And where was school?
School was dry school, Lodhipur. And I walked in and I said, I can't do this because I want to do debating and theatre and just extracurricular. And here I was studying science and maths. So I had the most difficult combination possible. And then I think Gargi College happened and history honours happened and I just fell in love with theatre. Because I'm a conservative Muslim girl from Delhi, I think even to admit to myself that I wanted to be a film actress and go to Bombay was a bit of I felt conscious about it.
Yeah.
So how do I even say this to myself?
Forget saying it to your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What is the first thing that they say?
My dad thought I'd lost the plot. My mother was quite upset and she was very against the idea. And they were encouraging me, why don't you go abroad and study, do an MBA, join the family business. Saleem is doing so well and we have such a good standing in the community. Why don't you take this legacy forward? And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I think
you never wanted to be part of running Saleem's?
I'll always be part of running Saleem's. I mean, I in fact went there as early as yesterday, last evening, when I took a film crew, a film that it's coming out called Tarla, for a little a promotional gig. But actually what really happened is that Saleem's has now been running since 1977. My dad started it.
Yeah.
And it's really been that one place in South Delhi which a lot of people go to and it's there.
I eat from there all the time.
Thank you. So thank you. My education is sponsored by patrons like you. And this was a film, Barkha, they paid me some $75,000.
That's it?
That's it. I mean, please, I'm working with them now because I've been through that and I know Sonakshi's been through that and both of us have been actresses. And
when you've been through it, what have you been through? Have you been through, I don't like how I look suddenly? Have you been through, why don't they like how I look?
Yeah, also that. It's both.
What they tell you? Lose weight or?
Lose weight, get surgery, all of that. Yeah, and people see this very easily. But I'm saying it for your benefit, just do it now. Everyone's doing it.
What surgery?
Liposuction or whatever. Just say, Huma Qureshi is such a lovely, fine actress with a beautiful face, but maybe she's 5 kgs too heavy to be a mainstream heroine. And I'm ouch.
And you did what after this review?
Of course you were sobbing.
So many women of your generation are, and good for you, are speaking up about not being paid the same amount of money. Is anything changing?
No. I have a book coming out later this year. Yeah.
On a superhero book, right? Yeah, that's what I read somewhere. Yeah. Wow, what's it called?
It's called Ziba. You're the first person I've actually mentioned this to. So
nice. How does a Delhi girl from a conservative Muslim family, whose family runs one of my favorite restaurant chains in Delhi, not too far from where we're sitting right now, Saleem's, end up in the film industry?
I don't know, it's just meant to be. I think I was just one of those classically confused kids who wanted to do something and although came from a very conservative family, was always pushed to study, pushed to excel at things. And my parents always thought I'll do something more academically more inclined.
Like what?
I know, IAS or become a doctor. My mother was very keen I become a doctor. And I did study till 11th standard. And then I realized, okay, this is not for me. And I think my first act of rebellion was when I walked into my principal's office.
In college or school?
In school, in 11th standard.
And where was school?
School was dry school, Lodhipur. And I walked in and I said, I can't do this because I want to do debating and theatre and just extracurricular. And here I was studying science and maths. So I had the most difficult combination possible. And I'm not enjoying myself because I had to finish school, then go to some medical training institute for prep and then maths tuition. And I just thought my life had come to an end. So that was, I think, the first act of academic rebellion, if I can call it that. And I said, and they're okay, so what do you want to do? I said, humanities, because, I enjoy English and I enjoy sociology and I enjoy all of that. And they were like, but what will you do with your life? And I said, I have no idea. Maybe I'll become an IAS officer because that was the only thing
There's
I think
also
I
this
knew.
bias. I remember when when I went and told my school principal that I wanted to do humanities, she was a geography teacher herself. And she was like, nahi, aapko science mein jana padega. I said, I will fail if I take science, you know.
Yeah. But there is still this bias, and I feel like I had to fight a lot with my parents to do that, and I had to like justify it with a lie, like saying I'll do IAS or IFS. I had no interest. I said something. I think 2-3 saal nikal jaye kisi tarike, so I don't have to keep having this argument every day. And then I think Gargi College happened and history honors happened, and I just fell in love with theatre. And when I was in Delhi, I was doing a lot of like amateur, professional, semi-professional, directing plays, working with kids from NGOs and going and doing workshops and reading books, Augusto Ball and all this, how to like games for actors, non-actors, and just going in, I guess in my own way, experimenting, and just because I just enjoyed doing that. And I think because I'm a conservative Muslim girl from Delhi, I think even to admit to myself that I wanted to be a film actress and go to Bombay was a bit of I felt like conscious about it.
Yeah.
So like, how do I even say this to myself?
Forget saying it to your parents.
Yeah, exactly. So that took a bit of time. And then when I was doing theatre in Delhi, that's when I started getting a lot of calls for auditions. And I was like, what, me? I'm just a kid like who goes to like Gargi College and does a couple of plays. But then that kind of put the kida in my head, I can do this.
But you know, you're like, families can still make their adjustment with theatre because उनके दिमाग में उनको लगता है ये तो हॉबी है ना. तो जब
respectable है,
हाँ, ये respectable है. तो जब आप अपने फैमिली से बोलते हैं that I want to go to Bombay, I want to go to Mumbai, and I want to be a movie star.
Right.
What is the first thing that they say?
My dad thought I'd lost the plot. My mother was quite upset, and she was like, very against the idea. And they were like encouraging me, why don't you go abroad and study, do an MBA, join the family business. Saleem's is doing so well, and we have such a good standing in the community. Why don't you take this legacy forward? And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I think
you never wanted to be part of running Saleem's?
I'll always be part of running Saleem's. I mean, I in fact went there as early as yesterday, last evening, when I took a film crew, a film that it's coming out called Tarla, for a little like a promotional gig. But actually what really happened is that Saleem's has now been running since 1977. My dad started it.
Yeah.
And it's really been like that one place in South Delhi, which like a lot of people go to, and it's like there.
I eat from there all the time.
Thank you. So thank you. My education is sponsored by patrons like you. So,
no, but really, I mean, it's a very successful, known more for its kebabs than anything else, right?
And now, thanks to me and Saqib, it's become part of like popular culture, in a way. Like my film Monica, My Darling had like a pop culture reference to it. Yeah. In Double XL, a film I also produced, Sonakshi is eating a role from Saleem's. So my dad gets very like, I'm telling Dad, I'm like your unpaid PR, I'm basically.
But you never wanted to, it was never sort of a part of your mind frame to say, I'll grow up and I'll run the family business.
I think I will get into it at some point. And my brothers right now, my elder brothers are taking care of it.
Yeah.
And they're doing a rather good job, if I may say. Another few years, we'll be 50, which is quite unheard of, and I do plan to maybe take it a notch higher. I don't know what that is going to be, but something we're discussing as a family what one can do. But no, I think hospitality is in my blood. So even when the fact that I've moved from Delhi to Bombay and now I live there, but I feel like ghar pe log aana and the eating and all of that, like I feel like we love hosting people. And in fact, people come to my house for the biryani.
So you're a good Delhi Punjabi, basically.
I'm fully Punjabi. Like I'm a Muslim girl who's grown up in South Delhi, raised amongst Punjabis. I don't have a drop of Punjabi blood, but I'm fully Punjabi.
Culturally.
I'm fully Punjabi.
Well, it takes one to know one. How long did your parents sulk about your joining the movies?
About 8-9 months. And then I had a very emotional conversation with my father. My mother's more emotional. My dad's the practical one. And I told him, listen, if you don't want me to do this, I won't do it.
And you meant that?
I meant that. And I did call for some prospectus from like all these colleges in the UK and the US. And I started filling out forms. Okay, I'll go do MBA. At least I just want to get out and just meet people and just explore. Because my life before that was just a 5-kilometer radius in South Delhi, college, Gargi, school, Lodi Road, house, GK1 kind of a thing. And I wanted to really explore. And I was quite like chaperoned everywhere. So I was also like feeling a little like stuck. And I told Dad, if you don't want me to be an actor, I won't do it. But maybe when I'm older, when I'm in my 40s, I'll play like mother roles or auntie roles. And I'll always regret that when I had the opportunity and when people were calling me to audition or to meet, I didn't explore it. So I'll regret that, and I'll maybe not like it, and I'll hold it a little against you. But I'll do what you'll ask me to do. And my dad got damn emotional and he started crying and he said, you know what, just go for 1 year. And that was our deal, and see what comes out of it. His only condition was that I don't want my daughter to just go to Mumbai and just be like this forever struggler. I think that for most parents, that's like a big scary,
but they never came with you. They never became the mummy papa who goes with actors on set.
Oh, not at all. My parents, I think my mom's come once on my film set. My dad came like double XL last year. We were shooting in Delhi. That's when he came. They don't understand like kya ho kya raha hai? Like what was happening a little while before, right? With you, like they're setting the light, the frame, and people just get angsty saying, come on, get
on with it. Yeah,
exactly. So no, they hate it.
Tell me this.
Till date, my parents don't even know how much money I make. Like,
really?
It's insane. Yeah. Like they're just happy. The calls I get, like, have you eaten? Are you fine? Are you safe? And I'm like, yes, mama. Like, I'm really good.
Yeah. But were there moments of loneliness, struggle, feeling like, what the hell did I do by doing this? Maybe my parents were right.
Yeah.
What was the toughest? Like when you close your eyes and you look back at that one night, you cried yourself to sleep, you wanted to throw something at someone, nothing was working.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So I had a different journey. Like for most people, I think that the conversations about like the struggling period and then that magical opportunity and then everything's amazing. In my case, it was slightly different. I got my first brush with success pretty early on. Maybe it was just this enthusiasm of just getting out of the house and
Gangs of Wasseypur.
And Gangs of Wasseypur happened. Like I think 2010 ending, I moved to Bombay. Like properly moved, and by 12 Gangs was out, and it became this like big hit, in India. I mean, the first time I saw the film was at the Cannes Film Festival. So my world just exploded. And this was a film, Barkha, like they paid me like some $75,000. That's it. I mean, please, Viacom, I'm working with them now. They're my producers. But no, that was my first film, and it was not a fancy affair. There were no like 5-star hotels, or there was no like cushy like vanity vans and an army of like
retinue following you.
Yeah,
everywhere.
no. We were just like a bunch of people who just gone for 3 months to Banaras and we've shot a film and we've come back, and nobody had any clue what was happening. So when it came out, I was like, whoa, like I'm the lead in the film. Like my face is on a hoarding. Like what? Should I have gotten paid more for it? Like, is this how movies get made? But I think it was such a special experience, and that film really changed my life. But then after that, I think I was lost after that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what was happening, right? Because I think for me, the excitement of moving to Mumbai and meeting people and auditioning and doing a bunch of ads and getting that first film just happened rather quickly. But then I didn't have a game plan after that. Like, how do you have a game plan?
What happened after that?
Nothing. I think I was just lost in my choices. I was always working. That's touchwood. That was never a problem.
When you say you were lost, were you shunned?
No, I was just lost with myself, like finding my own voice, finding myself, who I was, what are the kind of films I like to do, what I didn't like to do, who I was really. And I feel like what happened, and I was insecure and I was scared and I didn't
What were you insecure about?
Everything from myself to how I looked to the work that was happening, maybe just insecure about why am I not doing the films that other people are doing, just all those. And I didn't have anyone to talk to. I have a younger brother in the film business, but he's as like figuring it out as I was. And you have a shoulder to cry on, but no one really to like help you navigate that situation.
Did you ever think of giving up? No.
That I did not. There was no plan B. There was never plan B.
You have been, I want to say, a feminist voice in the industry, in that you have spoken up, even as an outsider, on issues from pay parity to self-image, learning to accept your body as it is. Before you get to that point, let's talk about the tough stuff. You said you had insecurities about how you looked. You said... you've said elsewhere, and it's quite obvious that this is an industry. We live in an Instagram-mediated reality age where there are filters to alter how you look. And so you can actually pretend to yourself that you look different from how you actually look.
Skin smoother, eyes bigger, waist tinier. Yeah.
Did you go through a period before you got to be the Huma Qureshi who was on magazine covers talking about body positivity? Did you go through the bad phase?
Oh yeah, I did.
How bad did it get?
I really want to sometimes like pull out all the old articles and like turn the lens towards the people writing it, saying this is what you do to a young person in her 20s trying to make it.
Like what?
Oh, what is she wearing? Look at her knees, look at her calves, look, I'm just saying like zooming on certain like body parts and circling them or like things like that. And that was really like, and honestly, like maybe for a lot of kids who grew up in Mumbai and they used to being, hearing that with parents or friends going through that. For me, I was just like, whoa, like how do you deal with that? And like, when you're acting, or half the thing is about confidence, what you feel about yourself and what you project, right? And if that's shook, then you're just like, okay, so I'm not looking that good, so people don't think I'm so amazing. Oh, so maybe I need to change myself, right? And of course, change is great, but if that change is coming from a place of fear, then that's going to be terrible and toxic. But if change is coming from a place of empowerment or agency, then that's very different. And I think I was trying to change, but I was not changing from a good place.
And how bad did it get for you? Like I remember Richa Chadda once telling me, and I was just stunned, that she went through a phase of, being bulimic, right? And she said that she felt she had to say it out loud so that she could own that experience. And I'm like, Richa, you're like St. Stephen's girl, went to my college, Delhi girl, right. Smart girl. And she said, yeah, but that's what happens, right? Did you go through? No, I did not. Did you have an eating disorder phase?
No, I did not have any. Thankfully, I did not have an eating disorder phase. I mean, my eating disorders, as much as any actor would have, we all have eating disorders.
Which are?
Which is just that when there's a film happening, then you are like, okay, no this, no that, no whatever. Yeah. But when it's not happening, then you kind of tend to ease it up a little bit. No, I did not go through that eating disorder phase. I mean, thankfully, I have some self practices which have helped me. Like I have a great circle of friends. I have a very strong family system. Like I treat my job as a 9 to 5 and I come back and I really disconnect.
So there are people who keep you real?
So there are people who keep me real. There are people who keep me grounded. I journal a lot. I think I really endorse therapy. I think everyone should do it. And I think these are things that have really helped me. So I did not go through that phase.
What is the first thing that made you reach out for therapy?
Heartbreak. If I'm being honest.
No, but more than regular heartbreak?
Come on.
I mean, I know when the heartbreak happens, but what I mean is when your heart gets broken.
Like a nosy
I know. No. I meant something different. I don't mean who, what, whatever. I mean, like when your heart breaks, of course we all feel like, oh my God, my world has ended.
Right.
But there is something a little more that would make you feel I need help. And I'm trying to understand what was that feeling that made you feel you need help.
Oh, wow. How should I put it? No, I think sometimes you just evaluate why you gravitate towards certain situations and people. Honestly, for me, it was such a case of patterns and trying to break that pattern. And I'm really like obsessed with that. Like how can I better myself? How can I not fall into the same thing? Because I feel that your personal choices also reflect in your work choices and your career choices and everything else. So for me, that was really important.
But this body image thing is so insidious that while I'm talking to you, I'm remembering another conversation I had with Alia Bhatt, where she told me that she actually spoke to her therapist about body image issues. And I'm like, Alia, look at you.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And she's like, yeah, but this is what happens, right? And so I think what I'm trying to understand from you is that before you got to that place where you could become the advocate for this extremely important issue, right? What did you have to go through to get to that point?
Barkha, it's very surprising. So in my personal life, I have never had an issue with how I look. I mean, if I can say so without sounding vain or whatever, I've always had attention.
Be vain, why not? Yeah.
No, that's my Delhi upbringing. Prevents me from. I'm still super bad at compliments. But yeah, I have high self-worth, I would like to think. I'm bad at receiving compliments. But within me, I think I have pretty high self-worth. So in my personal life, I've never had an issue with like how I look or how I feel about myself if I go out or even the attention you get. But somehow when I became an actor, I don't know, something, it's almost like some journalists started telling me, oh, but what was it? But आपके line में तो करना चाहिए ना, क्योंकि आप तो in front of the camera है. And I'm just like,
क्या करना चाहिए?
और in front of the camera किसने बोला कि only a particular body type or a particular skin color or particular length of hair deserves to be in front of the camera? Who decides that? And why is it so everybody else therefore does not hold any merit to be in front of the camera? And I was like, no, I actually, in fact, so many women, after I did Double XL, until they keep coming to me and be like, and I've done so many films over the years. It's like that film and what it did, and with all the things around it, I was like, that film really touched us because we really felt seen. We really felt like, अरे तो क्या problem है? हम भी अगर confident हो जाएंगे तो life अच्छी हो जाएगी. And I'm just like, thank you. That's exactly why I made the film, because I've been through that, and I know Sonakshi's been through that, and both of us have been actresses. And
when you've been through it, what have you been through? Have you been through, I don't like how I look suddenly? Have you been through, why don't they like how I look?
Yeah, also that. It's both. And also see, it's about just making you feel lesser. Anyway, what we do in lives as women or men also, we're trying to achieve something, trying to be better, have a career, do all of that. Now it's like somebody's holding you back constantly, saying, you don't deserve to be, I don't know, the best actress in the country. You don't deserve to have a great career.
What would they tell you? What would they tell you? Lose weight or?
Lose weight, get surgery, all of that. Yeah, and people see this very easily. But I'm saying it for your benefit. Just do it now. Everyone's doing it.
What surgery?
Liposuction or whatever.
I'm glad you brought up.
Yeah,
I know. I'm glad you brought up surgery because I've been working on a story where we're looking at young schoolgirls now who are seeking basically medical intervention to get their lips done a certain way, their nose done a certain way. I find it absolutely frightening.
But Barkha, it's all about this whole ageism thing, right? I've said this in an interview a few days ago. I'm like, as women or as actresses, I'm not a fruit that will rot after a certain time period. As an artist, I'm supposed to get better with age. But this whole thing that you're only relevant as long as you look good next to the hero, that mindset has to go.
And the hero doesn't go through that.
He's getting better with age like wine, like fine wine. I'm like, I'm sorry, why the double standards? Because honestly, which is the reason why, and the work I try and do, and I get very happy when other female colleagues of mine are doing that as well, when they're demanding better roles, they're demanding better opportunities, they're demanding better budgets. I know the fight I have to do. If supposing I have to do an action film around me and there's a male star of the same level, he will get a better budget than me only because he's a man. He will get paid more than me only because he's a man. And I'm like, I'm not even asking for personal fee. I'm asking for my film, an action film, to be made a certain way. And I don't get that, and I have to really fight for it and build for it. But having said that, I feel like
the ageism that you were talking about.
The ageism, and it happens in the West as well. So I feel like the more we do better parts and are not okay with just being an accessory to the man's journey, the more the lensing will change and people will change.
What do you think about cosmetic surgery?
I think to each his or her own. I don't know if I'll never do it. I don't want to say that because kalko then, I may.
But do you want to say at least that you'll never do it?
No, I don't want to say that. Why should I say that?
Why?
It's a personal choice. It's like tomorrow if I decide to shave my eyebrows, I don't want to be held accountable saying, but you said you'll never shave your eyebrows. I'm an actor. See, tomorrow I may have to do it for a part. That's very different. But yes, what I'm completely against is the fact that, exactly what you said. I see 17-year-old girls go through this, and
why should a 35-year-old go through it either?
No, I'm saying if you choose to do it, it's a choice, right? But I'm saying be at an age where you can make that decision.
How common is it around you?
It's common everywhere around you as well.
I still want to think, maybe I'm naive, I still want to think that there are women who will get up and say that we don't want to surgically or with intervention change how we look unless there is a disfigurement from an accident, there is a medical problem, a burn, autoimmune disease. I'm not saying there are no contexts for intervention, but I'm saying to just say I don't photograph well. That can't be a basis to go under the knife, right? So what do you think?
I agree with you.
But yet you're not saying.
I'm not saying it because I'm a person, right? I could have a moment of weakness. Then I'm being as real as I can. I'm not even.
You're being honest. You're being honest.
And I'm not even giving you a politically correct answer.
If I'd asked you the same question 10 years ago, what would you have said?
I would have said no.
And that's the point. Somewhere being in a vanity industry changes.
But it's true. It's true. And I'm admitting to it because I'm a person, right? If 24/7 I'm being bombarded with like say for example, when I tell you that I went through a dark place because of my weight, is because 24/7 you're being bombarded with how you look and how you need to lose. I had a reviewer say that about my second film, saying, oh, Huma Qureshi is such a lovely fine actress with a beautiful face, but maybe she's 5 kgs too heavy to be a mainstream heroine. And I'm like, ouch.
And you did what after this review?
Of course, you were sobbing. You're upset. You're human, right? Nobody's here to.
But don't you see, it's like an insidious beauty industry. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying this to an actor.
It's also the responsibilities on the other side, right?
100%.
You guys have to be
100%.
I literally pull up people. I mean,
there is so much sexism in how women are covered in the media.
I wish I had done this when I was younger as well, in my 20s. I wish I had done it and I'd been like, don't talk to me like that. That's disrespectful.
Have you said that recently to someone?
I said that to someone.
What did they say to you that made you say that?
Something they were crying and they said something about my personal life and something. And I said, and I tried to avoid it, saying, no, let's not go there. I'm not comfortable answering. And then that person kept trying and said, sir, that's very disrespectful. I would like you to stop asking. I'm also a person.
Yeah.
And you have women at home. Would you like if somebody spoke like that to your sister or your mother or your partner like that? You just be a little respectful. Thodi maryada.
So today on cosmetic surgery, you're saying it's common. You want to say you wouldn't, but never say never.
Never say never.
Fair enough.
It's like saying...
It's like saying...
No,
it's like saying... No, say it now. Say it. It's like saying, मैं कभी क्या नहीं करूँगी.
I don't know. No, I don't want to say it.
Say it. Now you have to... You know that I'm not going to let it go. So now you may as well say it.
It's like saying marriage is an outdated concept, but who knows, I'll get married tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, we have these beliefs when we're 18, when we're 20.
Mom, I don't really mean that.
Feminism. You have done these sort of, frontline roles of strong women, interesting women, different women. But one of the things you've said is men don't have to do male-centric movies to make the point. This idea of a woman-centric film is still an event, right? So whether it's Tarla, whether it's Double XL, whether it's, anything else that you've done.
Marani or whatever.
Marani, yeah. In a way, the point you're making is the fact that it gets attention because there's a woman character front-facing it, that this is still an event speaks to the misogyny of the industry.
But it's still getting more and more. In fact, now, and I have to say that thanks to the streaming services and also a lot of like standout performances and efforts of a lot of other like women before me, like it's becoming more and more like normal, and yes, nobody likes the term female-centric content, but how else do you, I guess
position it,
right? But it is becoming, in fact, today, when you talk, if the top 5 shows or 10 shows are all led by women, and I feel that's a great sign of change. See, what we also have to do, in the theatrical business, there's a lot of like these conventional wisdom things that we have to fight against. ये चलता नहीं है. Hero पे बिकती है picture, story में ये होना चाहिए. These are these ideas that are there only because people think that creativity or filmmaking is a kind of a formula. Like if you have 3 songs and 2 whatever, then it might just work because that's what people want to see. And time and again, and a decade and again, like, the films have come and they have shattered this myth. Yet there has to be a certain volume of people wanting to make this, right?
Yeah.
Now, like, I think the playing ground is getting a little more like leveled. It's still a long way to go, but I still feel like it started. A lot more people are doing it.
Let's talk about Tarla. I think we all grew up, at least if you grew up middle class in Delhi, everybody grew up with a Tarla Dalal cookbook on the shelf of their home, right? So in some ways, there's a kind of nostalgia, almost attached to the memory of simpler times when your recipe still came from a cookbook.
Can you imagine? Like the first time I had Chinese or had a pizza, my mother referred to a Tarla Dalal cookbook.
Yeah.
How sweet was that? Because I think she really sort of introduced the Indian housewife to all these like different styles of cooking and cuisine, and in a way empowered her because you feel like, oh, I can make a pizza too. Like it's not that difficult.
Yeah, because because some of us were still on the cusp of, this country was still on the cusp of liberalization till 1991. So it wasn't that common to make a pizza at home.
No. And then suddenly everyone was making pizzas and all our dabbas and tiffins had pizza, or chicken manchurian or whatever, because my mother substituted with chicken.
Yeah.
But no, I think she's had a great impact on me. I remember having a few Tarla Dalal cookbooks at home.
Really? Do you cook?
I can cook. I don't
You
like.
don't
I don't
cook.
like cooking too much. It's too much of a thing. I think.
I like eating.
I love eating. So that's why I say my mom's a great cook. My dad has his restaurant. Someone has to sacrifice and eat.
I do. Before you started, you said there's now a new kebab on the menu.
Not a kebab. My dad's
It's a new dish.
It's a new dish. It's called Batata Musallam. So
Which means?
which Batata is potato.
Yes.
aloo.
So it's meat and aloo.
No, so basically, so my dad started Saleem's in 1977, and Tarla Dalal started writing her first book in 1974. So it's kind of like I was telling my dad, and then the trailer hit, and he was like, he loved the trailer, and he thought my look was interesting and all that. But he's like, what is this Batata Musallam? So I said, Dad, you are a Musalman who makes this keema, paya, kebab, and that's what you do. And what Tarla ji did, she took exactly your recipes. For example, a murg musallam, and took out the murg, and the musallam put aloo in it. So wider
vegetarian.
Exactly. And my dad was like, that's a great idea. Maybe we should have this dish because we have so many people who come for vegetarian food and we don't have enough options.
Yeah.
So he actually introduced that dish, and I thought that was pretty cool.
You have intriguingly made a kind of, you've joined the dots between the kind of feminism you believe in and a woman like Tarla Dalal.
Yeah.
And I think the point you're making is feminism doesn't have to be loud. And I'm going to argue that with you in 2 minutes, but first I want to understand what you mean.
See, it's a generational thing, I think. Okay?
Yeah, that's very important to contextualize.
At some point in time, yes, one had to be loud and one had to be like put their foot down and one had to be a little more like aggressive about it. But maybe because of the privilege that I've had, maybe because of the upbringing I've had, I feel there's a nicer way to put your point across and people actually listen to you more. It's like saying non-violence is not the way to go. But no, non-violence does have a place, and it is quite effective. And we can keep arguing till I know suddenly you have this little smile and glint in your eye saying,
No. The reason I have this glint in my eye.
I'm not stupid enough to get into discussions with you.
No, but the only point I would want to make is that I think women still have to apologize for aggression.
Yes.
I think women still have to apologize for ambition.
Absolutely.
And I think that, I think women bring change every day in quiet ways, as Tarla Dalal did.
See, let me explain this from my own life, right? And which is the thing we started this discussion with. I genuinely come from a very conservative family. I have
define conservative.
I have define.
You've said this phrase conservative 4 times. You haven't told me what it means.
I'll tell you. My mother was born in a village in Kashmir. It's a place called Gurez. My dad was born in Nizamuddin Basti. I have a lot of family till today. Where
did they grow up poor?
Yes, we didn't have too much money. My dad started this restaurant, he inherited a butcher's shop from my grandfather, which is right next to where Saleem's is right now. And I think they still have that running. And this where Saleem's is right now was a place my dad in 77 or maybe 70 before that rented out and started one guy making kebabs and serving kind of a thing. So when my parents got married and then I was born, we had a 1-bedroom house in Kalkaji. It was where I was born. And then later we moved to GK. So I've seen my family really go through all the stages of, gradually
being self-sufficient.
And having said that, so I really have seen all sides of the spectrum. So I would go to a regular school in South Delhi, but all my weekends used to be at my dadi's house, which is Nizamuddin Basti, which is right next to Kali Masjid. My summer holidays were in Kashmir, which is 90s of Kashmir, which is the worst time possibly to visit. But my Nanihal was there, so I had to go meet my grandparents. So I've had this childhood going to different places and just, I guess, inhabiting that space, right? So when I say, there are a lot of women, for example, one side of my family is in a village. They're still there. They do farming.
So the idea of being career women is not organic or natural.
I am the first one in my family to be a career woman. I have not said that in as many. My mother now, after us having grown and all of that, in a very Tarla-esque way, had that moment saying, but you all are so busy and I have nothing to do. So now I want to work. So she started a little small business of hers. But
what does she do in the business?
It's a little salon thing. First, she started a jewelry business. Now she has a little salon.
I want to say about salons. I actually, every time I go to one, and I still go to the one in the same market where Saleem's is, to the neighborhood salon, because I think there's something comforting about that. Every time I go to a salon, I actually think there's so much female entrepreneurship in beauty salons.
Boutiques. boutiques
It's
and beauty
extraordinary.
salons.
It's
It is
extraordinary.
insane. Yeah.
In small ways, how women are bringing change to their own lives.
And it's a lovely community of people just knowing each other and sharing stories and
absolutely.
empowering each other and just being a great support system for each other. So
No, so to the point that you're the first woman in your family to be a professional working woman.
Yes.
And therefore you identify with a quieter, Tarla-esque way of change.
When I had that moment in my own life as well, right, with my dad, it was a conversation. I said I won't do it, and I appealed to, I guess, his emotional side. Maybe a little manipulative or whatever you want to call it. But I felt that was far more effective. I could have always picked up my bags and walked away and run away or whatever, and that's an option we have. But I felt like no, I do want to be at a point in time, and today it gives me great pride in the fact that today like I go from a film promotion to my dad's restaurant, and they participate, and I see other people in my family also getting inspired. Like my niece recently went to Switzerland to study.
Yeah.
She's the first girl in her family to go abroad to study, because when I wanted to go, they were a bit like, let's see how this works. So I feel like, so as a family also we're making that journey, and I've really seen that at hand. So I believe in that. Maybe that's not an option.
No, all I'm saying is there are women who will need to do it that way.
Yes.
There are women who will choose
and no judgment.
aggression.
No judgment.
And there are women who will want to make a lot of noise, and it'll be different for each woman.
When I talk about feminism, I don't just mean that only women. When I talk about the aggression, I just don't mean about feminism only. I just feel in general in the world there's too much aggression right now. And for a person like me, I'm just like, everyone needs to just calm down a little bit. So it's coming from that place.
What did her life say to you when you sort of had to play her?
I think that film is for my mom. I did that film for my mom. Because I really think she was so talented and is so talented and is quite whatever. But I think she gave up a lot of things in her life to raise a family. And I did see her go through this midlife situation where she was like, now what do I do? And I have nothing to do.
The empty nest
syndrome and all of that. So I did that film for her because I think that's what happened with Tarla as well. And when I signed the film again, everyone was like, are you sure you want to do this film? Because although in the film I'm playing from my 20s to my 50s, but she gets success only much later in life. So people are like, are you sure you want to play? Why are you aging yourself? People are trying to move younger and you're playing all these roles. And I was like, but how does it matter? It's a great part.
Yeah.
And we have to stop telling ourselves this narrative by doing roles like such. It'll actually limit your shelf life. I think this is the way to go for longevity. Maybe we'll see.
Do you feel you're on a shelf?
No.
Do people want to make you feel that?
I feel I'm in the spotlight. People can feel whatever. It's about what you feel about yourself. The most important story is what you tell yourself.
I ask this because I think a lot of women are still very polite about what it's like to be female in this industry. What is it like?
I love it. I wouldn't want to be a man. I love being a woman. I love everything that comes with it. I love being in the spotlight. I love being an actor. I love my job. I enjoy it every single day. I can't tell you, Barkha, how grateful I am. And every single time I go to work, because I know what an incredible opportunity this is. Because I remember that girl who had moved to Bombay and how excited she was to be part of this movie business. And not a single day goes by, I don't realize that there's so many other people who want this opportunity and I have it. So I just want to give it my best, and I want to be at some level. And I realize the soft power that comes with it. And I want to be a good instrument for change for people, for women in general. I feel like I don't want to be a person who's only about I want to make this much money and wear these amazing clothes and take these fancy holidays. Yes, I do get to do that. And I love it unabashedly. But I also feel like I can actually make a difference, and I want to do that.
What is the one thing that maybe you did 10 years ago? So on Botox and cosmetic surgery, you said ulta. No, you said ulta. You said 10 years
says she may do Botox.
Hey, I'm not. I was going to name a platform, and then I said, "Chal Barkha, for once in your life, be diplomatic." My question was different. On that, you said a decade ago, your answer would have been a very categorical no. Now you have lived enough to never give categorical no's. My question is different.
I'll tell you why. Because when you're younger, you're very clear.
Of course.
I'll never do this.
Of course.
I'll never do that. But as you grow up, you're like,
hey, I used to say I'll never wear nail polish. Now I have occasional toe polish. Occasional when I go to the parlor next to Saleem's. No, abhi nahi hai. Abhi nahi hai. It's, I think it's khali.
But it's nice.
But the question was, are there things you would have done as an actor a decade ago that today you realize is horribly sexist or horribly prejudicial, like a fairness cream. I mean, I'm just giving an example.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done a fairness.
I'm giving an example.
I'm just thinking.
Right? Is there a way you wouldn't allow the camera to travel over your body that you wouldn't have even thought about? You know, the male gaze is something we read in books, but when we have to internalize it into our own lives, it's very difficult to tell when you're being objectified and when you're not.
Yeah, yahan pe na, I don't know, maybe... I want to give a lot of credit to Delhi and my Delhi upbringing. Because I feel like
there's no city like Delhi.
There's no city like Delhi. I love Delhi. The food, the weather, and
the people.
The people.
Say it.
Some lecherous men. So I feel like as a result of that, when I went to a girls' college, right? So as a result of it, I was a bit of a gundi. Yeah. And I learned how to take care of myself. Sometimes, even though you're not sure, it's also projection to be a little more alpha.
Tougher.
To be tougher, saying don't do that and don't do that and call it out. So I did that and I did call out a lot of bad behavior. So when I went to Mumbai as well, I carried a bit of that Delhi University chhatra with me. Yeah. That little bit, let's change the world and kind of vibe. And yes, I mean, up to phir bhi people know me and it's a different thing. But even when I started, I was like, this I can't do. Like sometimes I'd get offered like an item song. And there was one particular big producer, big film. And they offered me this song. And I said, you know what? Why not? Like everyone does it. And I did go for a couple of days of rehearsal as well. And my costume was made. And then I was like, but these lyrics are so cringe. Yeah. These lyrics are so cringe. How can I won't be able to live with this.
Which one was it?
I can't tell you that. I may work with them again.
Okay, fair enough. I don't want you to not get work because of anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll take a stand, but sensibly so.
Yeah. No, but this is a very interesting conversation. I remember once doing a debate between Shabana Azmi and Priyanka Chopra on item numbers.
Oh, what fun.
And they had completely divergent views. Shabana Azmi said it was complete sexualization. Priyanka said, well, it's my body. Why not accept
No, I've done item in Monica Huma Darling. Yes. That's an item song. So, I've done an item song in a Michael Winterbottom film.
So the question is, how do you see this entire debate around objectification of the female form?
I love the fact that I can own my sexuality and I can use it. Like the whole thing by doing a film called Monica, My Darling was exactly this. And I remember correcting a journalist who said, oh, but Monica's a vamp. So I said, no, 1 second. All these actors sitting over here, everyone's playing a great character. You have not used a term for any other guy. But for a female.
Typical.
Because she's using her body. It's quite typical. And I was like, this is what we need to change, right? She's not a vamp. She's just doing the best she can. She's a poor woman. She's gorgeous. And she knows her beauty has is a currency and she's using it. So why are you judging her for it? You're not using that guy because he's sleeping with the boss's daughter to get a promotion. Not calling him a villain, right? He's the protagonist. So it's...
But you walked out of this item number because the lyrics were the problem.
I would do an item song. If I feel it's a great song, it's fun, I can celebrate myself, my sexuality, I'm looking hot, why not? Like nobody wants to not look amazing or look desirable.
Of course, but where do you find that balance between being your version of yourself and not being somebody else's version of you? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's about the people always. And I know you'll understand that it's about the people that you're working with. You always know how they're looking at you and what is the story that they're trying to take forward. If it's just a bunch of men just like leching at you, just move around and you have no agency, it's very different. But if you're empowered in your own skin and you know what you're doing, it's a different lensing. It's just
many women of your generation are, and good for you, are speaking up about not being paid the same amount of money. Is anything changing?
No.
That's terrible.
It is, but slowly, I would like to get paid more than a lot of my male counterparts, but I don't yet. And I'm sure that'll change. I think the only thing I can do is just work harder and just outperform them. It's sad, but it's true.
I think you said in some interview that I saw that you didn't come to the industry to be invited to parties. You came to be invited to you came to get good roles. It's a correct thing to say, but like, it's also when you being invited to the parties after that or not really?
Well, the ones that you get invited, let's put it this way, the ones that you get invited to matter, the others don't.
No, but there's a more serious question there. There's a genuine debate. I think after a point it's a limiting debate because there's nepotism debate. You could have chosen to run Saleem's, you may still. Would anyone?
And I would be a nepotist there.
Would you be a nepotist there?
I would be a nepotist if I ran Saleem's, of course.
Right.
Yeah,
So, I'm a journalist. My mother was a journalist. She died when I was 13, but I still went into the same profession.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, how you see this conversation.
See, of course, there's access. Some people just have
doors
access.
open easier.
Doors open easily. But that's just it. Doors open. Beyond that, it's your talent, hard work, and a whole combination of other factors. It does happen. I mean, it's happened with me also. I've gotten thrown out of films. I've been replaced, blah, 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 blah. I choose not to talk about it because I choose to conduct my life a certain way. And that's a very personal choice. Not to the people who make a hue and cry about it is wrong. Yeah. I just choose to conduct my life this way. I don't want to talk about it. I only want to talk about, okay, what's happening, what's not, what's rather than what's not happening. Having said that, I feel like it's a bit of a hollow debate. So people who cry most about it are also guilty of it. So it's not that, I feel the focus has to be on what you're doing with that opportunity. I think Alia said something very interesting, which I thought was actually bang on. And I have a lot of respect for her for saying that. And she said exactly this, that, I know it's easier for me.
Yeah.
Which is why I work harder. And that's it.
Yeah, correct.
That's
you have to just acknowledge.
I can't be apologetic for the fact that my father runs a restaurant, and if I open a restaurant tomorrow, I'll have an advantage.
Of course.
I can't be. It is who I am. Similarly, I feel like I am here because, and now the joke in the family is my younger brother is also an actor. So both of us are we nepotists now? Because they're like, no, I didn't get any of
That's why I say it's a limiting conversation.
It's a very limiting conversation, and it's a very misleading conversation. And it's about it's also, I feel it comes from a place ki dekho unke paas hai, hamare paas nahi, so let's just slander them. It comes from that mind space, which I find very toxic.
Yeah. What's been the toughest phase for you in the last, 11 years?
What's been the toughest work-wise?
Or personally, professionally?
I think there was a time, 16, 17, when I was working every year. So that work was never a thing, but I was just not happy with the kind of work I was doing. And I thought why are these roles being offered to me? What am I doing wrong? How can I change things? Is there something wrong that I'm doing or how I'm presenting myself? And I realized I was just not being myself. I was a lot more guarded. I was a lot more I should maybe say the right thing. I should not maybe laugh so loudly. Maybe I need to have an image of what a heroine needs to be like.
Yeah.
Like the other day for Tarla promotions, we've gone and I've picked up Sharib on stage. So everyone's like, what are you doing? But listen, why should guys only lift women? I can also lift a guy and he's so much shorter than me. So and I don't think too much about it. I'm just theek hai, kar liya abhi. Anyway, we were just going to go stand there and talk and nice things. Give them
make them a little interesting.
Yeah, of course. Give them a visual to talk about. So, yeah.
Finally, before we close, you said you want to be an instrument of change. What's the one thing you'd like to change?
One thing.
Or it can be 5 things. But something that, you journal, you write. I don't know, a lot of people know that you write.
I do write, yeah. I have a book coming out later this year. Yeah.
On a superhero book, right?
Yeah,
That's what I read somewhere. Yeah. Wow, what's it called?
It's called Ziba. You're the first person I've actually mentioned this to. So this is special.
Tell us a little more.
Well, HarperCollins is it's my COVID baby. So other friends were getting married and having children and, making vegan kabata.
And you birthed a book.
I was working on my book, and it was an idea that I'd written a few years ago, which was a television pitch. And then nobody gave me the money to make it because it was so expensive. And then COVID happened and I said, I need to do something. So I tried to collaborate with a couple of comic book creators and all that. And, it's kind of hard to navigate that. So what? I can write. English honors, English literature love and all that.
Same.
Yeah, I did history honors. So I'm English literature love. Whatever. I can always I can put a few sentences together. Yeah. So I said, okay, let me write, and I did. And I sent it to a couple of publishers, and they all wrote back saying it was interesting.
So Ziba is the character.
Ziba is a character. It's a very sassy, new age, brown, Muslim superhero.
Good for you. Yeah. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Instrument of change. Is that your instrument of change?
I hope so. I hope I don't get into trouble for it.
Little bit of trouble one has to take.
Of course. Troublemakers make history, right? Isn't that what they say?
That is what they say. I am as one troublemaker.
I know.
To a potential troublemaker or to another troublemaker. What should I say?
I think I am a troublemaker in my own little way.
So here's to troublemakers. Huma Qureshi, a pleasure. All the best to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.